Emergency room doors burst open. A paramedic rushes through them, soaked and pushing a stretcher. He shouts, "It's COVID!" He's struggling to breathe. A doctor jogs up beside the stretcher and, looking to the nurse's station, asks, "Do we have any more beds? What about rooms?" A nurse runs over, shaking her head. "No, we're fresh out. The ICU is full and the ER is on backup." The doctor, now looking forlorn, says there has to be something we can do. Now, this might sound like the scene from a medical drama like House MD, but in 2020, this was unfortunately real life. Hospitals were overwhelmed, staff were stretched thin, supplies were disappearing, and all across the world, people were asking the same desperate question: where's the cure? Why don't we have a drug for this? Under normal conditions, developing a new drug takes more than 10 years. The process involves years of chemical analysis, preclinical trials, and then 3 full phases of human testing. And even after that, most drugs never actually hit the shelves. But by the end of 2020, less than a year into the COVID-19 pandemic, vaccines and treatments were already being delivered. How is that possible? The answer lies in something called an Emergency Use Authorization, or EUA. An EUA gives the Food and Drug Administration the power to fast-track medical products during public health emergencies. It doesn't mean that the product is fully approved, but if the benefits are believed to outweigh the risks, the treatment can be made available temporarily. During the COVID-19 pandemic, this tool became critical. Billions of dollars were invested into vaccines and treatments. Scientists and companies collaborated like they never had before. And it worked. Millions of lives were saved. But it didn't really stop with COVID. For example, in 2023, a new drug for RSV called nirsevimab was approved. While it wasn't authorized under an EUA, it did follow a new accelerated approval pathway, one that was shaped by EUAs. Similarly, in 2022, an antiviral drug for monkeypox was granted under special permissions, like the EUA-style regulation. These treatments may save lives, but they also carry the risk of unknown long-term consequences. The EUA policies established during the COVID-19 pandemic not only allowed for life-saving interventions, but they also reshaped how new drugs and treatments can enter the market, often at a much faster pace and with fewer traditional testing requirements. In short, EUAs have changed the landscape of drug development forever, and with that shift comes a series of ethical questions. Let's look at the 4 pillars of ethics and see how EUA policies impacted each one. First, let's look at beneficence, or simply doing good. COVID-19 vaccines that were released under EUAs saved lives. According to one study, they may have prevented between 14 and 20 million deaths worldwide. That's beneficence in action. Now, let's look at non-maleficence, or doing no harm. Some drugs were released under EUAs without really any solid evidence. One example of such is hydroxychloroquine. It was distributed quickly, but later found to be ineffective, and in some cases, harmful. When we move too fast, we risk doing more harm than good. Now let's look at autonomy, letting people make their own decisions. During the pandemic, this was pushed to the side. Many people felt like they didn't have a choice. Workplaces, schools, airlines all required vaccination, often before full FDA approval. That left many wondering, do I really have a choice, or is this something that I just have to do? Finally, let's take a look at justice, or fair access and treatment for all. In the beginning, there simply weren't enough vaccines to go around, so who should get them? Thankfully, a group called the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, or ACIP, was created. They implemented a phased plan to distribute the vaccines as ethically as possible. The first phase was to healthcare workers and first responders. The next phase included older adults and those with health conditions, and finally essential workers. The rest went to the general public. Now today, things might look a little different. Hospitals are no longer bursting at the seams, beds are available, and the fear has gone away. But the decisions we made during the COVID-19 pandemic left a mark, not only on healthcare systems, but on our trust, on the definition of what safe really means. COVID didn't just change how fast we developed drugs, it changed how far we were willing to go to save lives. These weren't just a shortcut. It was a test of what really mattered. It showed us that speed and safety don't technically have to be opposites, that innovation and ethics can work together. So where do we go from here? When the next emergency comes, we must remember what we've learned. Move quickly, but not recklessly. Save lives, and do no harm. Because in the end, this isn't just about making new drugs or implementing new policies. It's about building a fairer, safer system. One that respects all and does everything we can to save lives.